All right, everybody. This is the live stream. This is the live stream that we're doing for tonight. I'm basically, yeah. I'm using my Canon DSLR as a webcam. We'll see if that actually works. Again, yes, I am. Oh shit, this again. Oh, hi. Yep, live streaming again. How's it going, everybody? Thoughts on Sun Ra? He's a fucking nuts. I never really got into him, but yeah, the orchestra is pretty cool. If you see this comment, flip us off. There we go. That was fun, wasn't it? Hello from New Zealand. Oh shit, what up? Alcoholic, I know. It's a huge beer, I know. But it is light, so it's basically water. Yeah. What's the first thing I should learn about music theory? Learn all of your like major scales. Learn the circle of fifths and the major scales. Adam, thanks for showing me Moonhooch. Yeah, Moonhooch is fucking awesome. Is there a weird box in the middle of the screen? Oh, there is a weird box. Ooh, 1 second. Let me turn that off. No, that's crap. There we go. That has to do with the focus thing on my camera. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Weird settings going everywhere. It should be gone now. Yeah. What's the second thing to learn in music theory? 12-tone rows. Sorry, that's not very helpful. Frame rate's a bit low and there's a bit of latency. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna... it's annoying. I know. I've tried to figure out how to like get it not like that using this camera. Hopefully it's higher quality than my normal like webcam. I'm just using the cam. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with any of it. So you're just going to have to deal with the frame rate. Would you make jazz music theory videos? I kind of am for this Monday. Yeah, I mean, that's on the docket. Honestly, there's so much stuff I could do. It's just like in order to get the quality like really high, because I want to be able to do like really awesome stuff. I need to spend a shit ton of time on stuff. So I could do more videos, just like go less in depth on things, but I think people like things to be very in depth. So Brass Tracks, though, yeah, I'm good friends with Ivan and Connor of Brass Tracks. I went to school with the two of them, and yeah, I've known them. In fact, in oh hey, Captain Spicy Wiener, by the way, if the guy from Brass Tracks, Ivan, is on the background music that plays in a lot of my videos, the Sungazer song "Dream of Mahjong," he's the trumpet player on that. Fun fact. Listen to Tigran Hamasyan. Yes, Tigran is fucking amazing. He kind of is a huge inspiration for a lot of stuff of mine. Here goes people being weird again. Yeah, I know. It's an Adam Neely live stream. Hello. People kind of like have stopped ignoring me, but anyway. Would you jam with a New York musician? Me? Sure. Now, the thing is like, it would have to be in the right circumstance. Unfortunately, I'm just so busy that I wouldn't be able to like go and hang out with you just to jam and stuff. But, if find ourselves at the same jam session for sure. Snarky Puppy? Question mark. Snarky Puppy's cool. Can you put the Sungazer songs on Spotify? That is on my to-do list, Sungazer songs on Spotify. It will happen at some point, but it is going to be a second before that does. Talk about odd time signatures. Odd time signatures are cool. Yeah, odd time signatures are cool. Can you develop relative pitch in age of 21? Well, relative pitch is a skill that's learned versus perfect pitch, which is, there's a lot of like stuff on whether or not you can actually learn perfect pitch, but you can definitely learn relative pitch no matter your age. Relative pitch is more about understanding the relationships between notes rather what the notes actually are. And I find the relationships between notes is much more useful. Do you like the U bass tone? People like to compare it with an upright bass. It's not like, I mean, I can see the comparison. I do like the tone. It's not the same as an upright bass, but it can fill the same role because it definitely has the attack is different than a regular electric bass. So it can fill the same role. I don't think it's the same. A good upright bass tone is pretty much not going to be, you can't find it unless you're playing an upright bass. So Friend moved to New York. Can you come to your shows? Sure. If you want to know where I'm playing, just follow my Facebook. I normally gig spam on Facebook. I haven't been doing that recently. I should really do that more. But if you're in New York City, I'll say like, hey, come to this place. And if you're at that place, come and say hey. Is going to music school worth it if you're a beginner musician? Chances are you're not going to be accepted to music school if you're just a beginner. There's a degree of proficiency that most schools will require, honestly. So get some private lessons and, ask your private teacher whether or not you're going to be able to hang at music school. Your music beginnings. My music beginnings, well, I come kind of from a musical family. My mom was a musician, and all of her family are musicians, and my dad is a music lover. And so I took piano lessons for a while until I was about 12 years old. And I stopped because I wanted to learn how to play guitar. And my dad had an acoustic guitar, and he showed me some chords. And then there was a band starting up at school, and there was already a guitarist. And so they're like, oh, why don't you play bass? And I'm like, sure. And then got a bass, and that's how I started. Adam, shout out Arthur from Salvador, Brazil. We love you. Brazil. How's it going, guys? Have you ever gigged in the Cincinnati area? If so, what did you think? I have not. I don't think I've actually ever. No, I don't think I've been to Cincinnati. Hey man, do you know of any decent free software for making music without having to record much? Well, I guess is GarageBand free? I mean, GarageBand is free with Macintosh computers. I don't know of anything equivalent for Windows, but I do know Reaper is what a lot of people end up using if money is kind of tight, because Reaper's $60, and if in the grand scheme of things, $60 is not a lot for what you get with Reaper. A lot of people I know use Reaper. It's kind of like it does what all the more expensive ones do, but it's a lot cheaper. Do you deal with any mental illness? Not personally myself, but I do know a lot of people close to me who might have had struggles with mental illness, and I don't feel like I want to give anything specific or any like authoritative description of what I think just yet, because I don't feel like I can speak with any real authority on any of that. So, sorry. How is it that the Justin Bieber bass line have a 3/4 polyrhythm if it does not exceed the next measure? I think you're talking about Where Are You Now, the thing, the Jack U thing, with Diplo, Skrillex. So the thing is when you talk about that, it resolves, the polyrhythm resolves in certain places, but it doesn't necessarily resolve in the bar, and it's lopped off. It's basically a 33 beat pattern with the last 16th note removed. And a lot of people have said 4/3 polyrhythm is not actually a polyrhythm. I mean, it's the terminology. I don't really care. I really don't care about whether or not it's a polyrhythm or a polymeter or a cross rhythm or whatever. It's still useful to understand things in terms of their metrical relationships to one another. So I really don't give a shit if you call it a polyrhythm or not. Just went to my first live jam session last night. I think I did okay, but I was very confused about different musical cues and advice on how to follow structure and form with unfamiliar musicians. That's just something that will take some time to get used to, because honestly, it's a skill like anything else, and playing with other people, you have to practice just like playing, your bass and learning your instrument and playing all the scales and everything, because there's so much that goes into it. It's like, think about this. It's like if you first went on stage to act and it was the first time you've ever acted, you would be like, what's going on? Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And it's basically being spatially aware and understanding what somebody might be doing. And that just comes from doing it over and over and over again, looking at what cues might mean, understanding subtle expressions of the face, also understanding where, body language, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of understanding physical placement of people and how they might interact with one another. And that takes a long time. An actor doesn't learn how to act just by being on stage once. They do it by doing it over and over again. So that's one way I like to think about that. Affordable ways to make a living as a gigging musician. Teach. Teach, and that's how you supplement your income as a gigging musician until you get to the point where you get many, many, many high-paying gigs, and usually that ends up being for people in my age group weddings, or cruise ship gigs or whatever. Or you might, get those high paying like pop gigs, maybe, if you're lucky enough and good enough. You ever get stuck and feel uninspired while composing? Yeah, all the time. I think it often ends up being, unless I have a deadline to meet, like, making a video every week, I try not to I try and step away from things. I try not to obsess too much over it, because you can get down the spiral of obsession and despair. If something is just not gelling, it's always good to step away and come back later. Cool. Mr. Neely, what's your favorite animal? And then a list of animals. I don't know. Cat, maybe. I'm boring that way. Can you play Teen Town? I'm sure I could work it up again. I have played Teen Town in the past. Greetings from Nashville. You ever come through this way? Yeah, I have an uncle out in Nashville, in Franklin. I think he's living there right now. He does a lot of... he works as a producer for a lot of contemporary Christian music, which is probably the cheesiest music that I know. I do not care for it whatsoever, but it pays his bills. So I've been out to Nashville a couple times. Not anytime recently, though. Tips on time management for a busy musician like you. Try and avoid video games, honestly. That's what I've tried to do, and it works more or less. Your channel blew up, fam. I hope you pussy good, though. All right, then. I'm having my Berklee Scholarship audition tomorrow. Any advice you can give me? Okay, the thing that I always say about the Berklee Scholarship audition is focus on it might be it's too late now because it's tomorrow, but really focus on the prepared piece, because people, the auditioners, always say focus on the prepared piece. And that's something that I'd suggest for any audition, is really focus on what you do well and make sure that, you do that well. Now, you kind of have had to come to peace with whatever your prepared piece was by this point. Hopefully, don't change it by now. So just make sure that that's really awesome. I'm a gigging musician. I work at a music nonprofit. How interested would you be doing it in a masterclass? Literally talking about any one of your vids or talking about anything would be fantastic. Sure, that'd be awesome. Hit me up, adamneelybass@gmail.com, and we can talk details. I would love to do that. That sounds awesome. I've done that before at NYU. I've done a masterclass style thing on one of my videos, and I would love to expand more on some of the videos, because there's always things that go into the videos that don't actually make it. And it's also nice to be able to talk and ask questions and have back and forth with people. So, why do you think contemporary Christian music is cheesy? Do you think any form of Christian music is good? Just asking. Contemporary Christian, there's a very particular style of music, and it's hard to really describe unless you've heard it. And I don't actually know any of the musicians, but I don't think Christian music is cheesy because it's Christian. I think a lot of it just plays to almost the lowest common denominator. And I come from a religious background, actually, yeah, I do come from a religious background where worship music was a little bit more traditional. And there was a lot more that went into it than very cheesy sing-along type things and these, I don't know. That's why I say contemporary Christian. I know that there's a lot more heart and a lot more artistic interest that can go into making religious music than what a lot of the stuff I've heard. Gospel music is different, though. Gospel music I have my own thoughts about, but I do not equate gospel music with contemporary Christian music at all. It is kind of divided along racial lines. Anyway, how do you feel about Gospel Chops players? They're fantastic. I mean, there's that whole thing shredding for the Lord. I love that thing. I get a kick out of it. I'm not sure if it's artistically the most satisfying thing for me, but it's a lot of fun to check out. I don't know a whole lot about it. I have played some gospel music. I played in the NYU gospel choirs end of the year concert once, and that was awesome. That was a shred fest. How many things you can play, how many notes can you play, and they got the choir going, and it's crazy. It's awesome. But anyway, have you ever had a hard time keeping a balance between a relationship and work? Me and my boyfriend live together, and we always cancel dates because we'd rather practice and record/write instead. Yeah, it is a little bit of a tricky thing because I live with my girlfriend who is also a musician. And it is definitely a thing, like trying to figure out the right balance of things, because we also work together. And working together, it's tempting to call it a date because we're out and we're playing and we're drinking and we're having a good time. But it is a difficult balance to figure out exactly what that is. I'm just going to say it's always tricky, and it's something that is kind of a stress, honestly. But it's also kind of nice to have somebody who knows what it is to be a musician and keep obsessive and weird hours and, all that sort of thing. It's kind of nice to have somebody on your wavelength. Vulfpeck. You heard of them? I have. Everybody asks me about Vulfpeck. I think they're fucking awesome. Joe Dart is really amazing. What strings do you use on your P bass? I use DR Fat Beams. They used to be the Marcus Miller Fat Beams, but then he dropped them. That's just what I've been using for the longest time. They just last a long time. Just my thing. Do you know Andrew Huan? Not personally. I would love to work with him at some point. That'd be fucking crazy. Awesome, because he's just on a roll with the quality of the videos that he's been putting out. His most recent one about inverting the Beethoven, I thought that was kind of genius, just because it's a fairly advanced harmonic concept, but he packaged it and made it sound so relatable, and the end result was great. So, opinion on the Beatles, Lennon, McCartney, geniuses that definitely needed one another in order to produce their best work, because everything. I mean, McCartney definitely did great work after the Beatles, and same thing with Lennon. But I think their greatest work was definitely when they had the other to balance each other out. Amazing songwriters, just amazing. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man? The one that lives on Drury Lane? Why do most jazz musicians hate classical musicians and vice versa? I wouldn't say hate, but there's definitely this strained animosity towards the other one, because one feels like the other one is not carrying their own weight, and they have a false sense of superiority over the other one for whatever reason. I'm certainly guilty of that. I wouldn't say that there's a hate, and there's, deep respect in most regards, but there's definitely almost, I'll say a rivalry, because they're both elite, quote unquote, music genres that require years of intensive study in order to be able to do on a high level. And yeah, so there's always going to be that. What's your opinion of Jacob Collier, his harmonies, and my undying love for you? No opinion. Oh, hey, John Martin. Oh, John Martin, not Josh Martin. Anyway, but John Martin. Jacob Collier is really awesome. He is a prodigy, and with any kind of prodigy, there was a child prodigy by the name of Eldar, piano player. He's kind of fallen off the radar, but he's incredible. But for me, he's kind of fallen off the radar. Pianist, and just has the most ridiculous chops. And the thing with Jacob Collier is that I think he ran the risk of doing that, but he knows what the zeitgeist is, and he kept trying to work hard towards working with the zeitgeist, doing his Patreon with the I Harm You things, doing all these collaborations, and making sure that people knew him as an artist in his own right. I feel like he hasn't quite achieved as what he's going to achieve, if that makes any sense. He's still getting to his best work. It's starting to coalesce in pretty interesting ways. Were you required to play upright at MSM, or did being a composition major mean less of your time was spent in ensembles that would have required it? Because I was a grad student, I really didn't have to spend any time in ensembles. I did still have to play, and I was allowed to play electric bass. I didn't study electric bass with anybody there. I had to play for certain things, but most of my time was spent writing. So I did not have to play upright, which was good because I'm not that great at upright. Tell us about your favorite VSTs. Don't use a whole lot of them. I use Guitar Rig 5. I keep meaning to update to Positive Grid Bias, but I just honestly I found my settings in Guitar Rig and just kind of left them be. Yeah. I don't use a whole lot of VSTs plugins. Geez, can I break my guitar after a show like Kurt Cobain? You can. Why would you? It's very passé by this point, and you'd be out at least $100. Adam, I was wondering if you could make a decision about releasing the stems for I Walk Alone. I'm asking because I need to learn your ways. It would be the greatest appreciated if I could directly hear it. That's an option, certainly. Possibility. Doing stems for my music, because that would be fun. How old are you? 28. What is your favorite free amp sim? I actually don't know any. I've just always used Guitar Rig. I just got it a while ago and just kind of stuck to it because I know how to use it by this point. It's not the greatest, but it certainly works for me. What's the fastest way to learn how to walk bass and play solos on electric bass? Well, the fastest way to learn how, as I have a video called How to Walk a Jazz Bass Line in 60 Seconds. So you could learn how to walk a jazz bass line in 60 seconds. A more realistic answer is check out Ed Freeland's book, Building Walking Bass Lines. That's probably my favorite walking bass line book because it's very, very straightforward. Soloing takes a lot more time. The best thing I would say is just try and transcribe jazz solos. Yeah. Adam, you're awesome. I love your videos. I love you. Thank you, Ben Hadfeld. It's 6 a.m. in Germany. Greetings from Germany. Hello. Guten Tag. What is an artist who is more depressing than inspiring to you? Do you mean depressing as in they're so good that I'm going to be depressed that they're so good? I don't think there's anybody like that, honestly, for me. But because I'm normally just inspired by people if they're really good. It used to be the other way, of course. It used to be I would hear, like, I don't know, Victor Wooten, and I just get depressed because, like, I'm never going to be that good. But, what happened? Okay. Have you heard Pink Season? I have not. Is there a certain key that you dislike on a regular basis? Not really. Maybe the key of F minor, just because the stretch on the lower part of the bass is kind of annoying. But F minor is kind of the most annoying sometimes to play on bass. Between the F and the A flat. You think Trump will make bass great again? What has Trump actually made great ever in his life? Think about that. Are you familiar with Josh Martin of Little Tybee? I think he's a damn savant, very progressive thinker, and approaches writing in Christopher ways. Think Tosin Abasi, but indie folk. Yes, I'm actually friends with Josh Martin of Little Tybee. We actually haven't hung out yet, but we've talked a lot about Patreon and strategies and all sorts of stuff. He's awesome. Just a really, really great, interesting guitar player. You should check his stuff out because it's tappy tap stuff. And normally I don't go for the tappy tap stuff, but it's just he does it in a way that nobody else does. And I think that's really cool. So Josh Martin is awesome. I'm 22 years old. You think I'm too old for being a professional musician? Some people say so. I don't know. Greetings from Chile. I would definitely not say it's too old, but I will say that now's the time to start really working on it. I definitely know people who started a little bit later, 22, or later, like 25, or even later than that. But it definitely will make it harder. But it's definitely, there's no such thing as too late to like start. In fact, honestly, for instrumentalists where image and age really isn't as much of an important thing, you can do it whenever, honestly. For singers, where unfortunately there's a little bit more of an emphasis on like looks and age, so that becomes a little bit trickier for female singers especially, but also I guess male singers. But are you going to revive Adam Neely Eats Things? I'm doing it right now. I'm eating some popcorn. Guys, let me tell you something. If you want to hear trap done ridiculously well and really weird, and I'm not even quite sure if you could even call it trap anymore, check out Jonathan Stein. This is a guy I went to school with, and his productions are honestly the most absurd, over-the-top, weird things. And I don't even really know how to describe them because it's like 20th century classical music into these weird, like, oh, God. Yeah, check out Jonathan Stein. Anyway. Next big thing in music. Hard to say. I don't know. Tips on learning harmony. What kind of harmony? That's kind of like kind of a general. It's too general of a question. Harmony is yeah. Anyway, no sound. Is there no sound? How's there no sound? Can people hear me? Can people hear me right now? Is this just me talking to the ethos? There's sound. Okay, thank God. Okay, we can hear you. Thank you. We're gonna get more eating sounds right now. Where are you from originally? The United States of America. I was born in Washington, D.C., actually. The capital of the United States of America. There just seems to be a delay. Well, delay in between the sound of me. Well, I don't know. There's always a delay. I haven't really figured it out. Please respond. Do you like Death Grips? I do. I like Death Grips. That's actually, besides Wolfpack, that's my second most asked question. Do you like Death Grips? Do you like Wolfpack? I do. I'm not as familiar with the stuff, but it is pretty intense music. There's honestly, I'll say this: there's never been a Death Grips song that somebody showed me that I wasn't like, oh, that's pretty cool, that's pretty aggressive, that's pretty intense. I won't say much more than that because I honestly haven't grappled with it that much. So, what's your favorite classic country artist? Well, it's Johnny Cash, but that almost feels like a cop-out because he's so awesome. If anybody checks out this guitarist by the name of Danny Gatton, he's not really a country artist, but he plays a country guitar, and he is like, his story is so sad, but he was like a local Washington, D.C. guitar player who was unreal. Like, there's so many modern, like Telecaster players that owe a lot to Danny Gatton, and he committed suicide because he was kind of unknown in his time, and it's only recently where videos of him have like surfaced. He's kind of like one of those like people this who was completely unknown in his time and now is like really famous. So Danny Gatton is like probably one of my favorites. Hey Adam, do you have any tips for music educators? I know you mentioned that you teach. Which are some of your favorite teaching strategies, exercises, lessons? It depends. The thing I always like, I try and like mold exactly what the student is doing to like what I'm going to give them, and I try and also like to focus a lot on repertoire, I guess. So making sure that students always learning songs. My main pedagogy, I guess, it kind of just surrounds private lessons, private students. I haven't really taught in the classroom. So a lot of it is just making sure that people are learning songs, and then taking whatever the songs are, taking whatever you're learning in the song and trying to like do some theory lesson stuff. For example, like Green Day's like Time of Your Life or like Wonderwall. Those are good like for beginning guitar students, ways of understanding. It's called pedal point. So you're playing the guitar with these two fingers, always on the bottom two strings, playing the third fret, and that is an example of something called a soprano pedal. So using things like that to like inject some advanced music theory, the stuff that I normally would do and talk about, just trying to do that through, oh my God, so many questions. Hey Adam, have you ever jammed with a tuba? Any good jazz tuba? I've never played with a tuba player myself. I mean, that's a big thing just in terms of like brass band. Brass bands normally, of course, play with a tuba player instead of a bass player. I've read tuba sheet music. That's always fun. Eat potato. No, thank you. Are any solos you've transcribed that really influenced you? I'm looking for new stuff to check out. There was one. There's a piano solo by Esbjorn Svensson. Esbjorn Svensson was a Norwegian pianist, and he had a really awesome trio. And there's a solo he took on this piece called ODRIP. And Esbjorn Svensson's solo on ODRIP was, for whatever reason, I just picked this solo one time and I learned it. It's very outside, very chromatic, but I still use a lot of his like licks from that. Anyway. Cover Meshuggah. I wish. I was once working up like chops to do bleed with fingerstyle, and then of course it was impossible. Holy shit, there's so many questions. There are 48 messages a minute. It's like almost a question a second. B-movie trailer. It's an Adam Neely live stream. I love that. How can I improve my live and performance? Breathe. Check that out. Breathe. Oh, he's Swedish. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Norwegian. One of those countries up there that has better healthcare than I do. How do you start doing gigs? Any advice for someone who wants to start playing gigs? Meet as many people as you can. Meeting people is a great way of finding out different venues or figuring out different venues. I feel like being a musician is a very social sort of thing. So figuring out finding other people to play with is a big, big thing for any musician. And don't be shy. Try not to be shy. It's something that is like a learned trait. You kind of have to be, even if you're an introvert, you have to be extroverted in seeking out other people to play with. Dude, your last live stream got everybody hype. I'm glad. Capital of Thailand, Bangkok. Adam Neely's bass lessons, but every time there's a Vsauce reference, the key changes a tritone. Well, here's the thing. The tritone, if it changes a tritone again, you're back to the root. So you'd have to change something else. Honestly, that's something, if you think about it, it's something called a multitonic system. So every time it changes, it will have to change, like say if it's a major third, every time there's a Vsauce reference that changes a major third, it will take 3 times to get back to the root. If it's a minor third, 4 times to get back to the root. If it's a major second, it'll take 6 times back to the root. And it's only if it's a minor second, it will take, or minor second or major seventh, which is the inverse of a minor second, it will take a total of 12 times to get back to the root. So think about that meme for a second. How would you define yourself politically? Skeptical, liberal. I hate the term liberal, but I'll say skeptical. Quarter notes. Quarter notes, question mark? I don't know. Have you ever considered hosting a composition contest on your channel? That could be fun. That's an interesting idea, potentially. Hey, Adam, what's your favorite piece of classical music and why? Jeez. That changes all the time. I'm a huge Eric Satie fan because he has kind of this like weird satirical, ironic twist to all of his compositions, but it's also not weird and satirical and ironic. It's also very, very like sincere. So there's a piece of music of his. This isn't really my favorite, but it's something that I always like to think about. It's called Vexations, which is a kind of this dissonant piano piece. It's like 1.5 minutes long, but then on the top of it, he wrote instructions that imply that it should be performed 840 times in succession. So all future performances of it have been 840 times repeated through this one piece of music, and it's one of the most like punishingly boring, but also it's kind of hard to describe this. Vexations. Just look up Eric Satie Vexations. So, favorite Star Wars. Oh man, Empire Strikes Back. It's tempting to say, but recently it's actually been A New Hope. I start analyzing everything A New Hope. Like really, really is nice. Is that a dildo over your keyboard? Yes. That's actually a common rejoinder. No, this is a mount for like a GoPro or something like that. It's just something that I can put on things like that. And then there's this dildo, which is my thing that I can use on the camera. I got a variety of mounts, dildo mounts for my cameras. It's nice. Least favorite musical genre? Probably contemporary classical, or not contemporary classical, contemporary Christian music. I find it so void of soul for a music that professes to be all about saving one's soul. Why are you so funny every day? I wake up and I wonder why you're so funny and cool, and I watch your YouTube videos. No? Okay. Fretless bass or acoustic fretless? Depends on what sort of sound you want. Are you religious? A little bit. I'll say that, a little bit. Culturally. All right. Um, Did you win an award from ASCAP for quite an innovative jazz composition? How many other competitions have you entered? Also, how come you don't do any film, game, or TV composition? That's something that I want to branch into. Honestly, the YouTube channel takes up so much of the time just in terms of writing scripts and doing all sorts of other stuff. So the amount of time that I would have to like pitch to expand my portfolio beyond what I normally do, which is gigs, occasional Skype lessons, and YouTube, and also help run a wedding band. It's very difficult to like try and branch out into other things. So I know the stuff might work, but at the same time, it's a time management thing. Like I might not necessarily have that ability, but thank you. Adam, have you heard the Bach choral arrangement of All Star by Smash Mouth? I have. It's very amusing. Less ASMR, I can only come so much. Freebird. Please respond. I got accepted to Berklee a little bit ago. Is the cost worth it as a percussionist? The cost, that's something that I get asked a fair amount. The cost of Berklee, is it worth it? Maybe. Maybe it's worth it, but only if you really put in the effort. If you really put in the effort and really apply yourself and don't like waste your time while you're there focusing on other things besides taking advantage of every possible extracurricular you can. Yeah, I will say the time and the connections are definitely worth it, but you have to put in that effort. What's your favorite make of guitar bass, and who's better, Schecter or Ibanez? Ibanez, definitely. I'm actually a fan of Ibanez basses. I do like them. What do you think of harmolodics? I haven't really checked a lot about harmolodics, which is Ornette Coleman's like method of understanding harmony and melody and stuff. Hope. My teacher says that if I'm iffy on taking Guitar 4 my senior year because I find the direction of the course uninteresting, should I rethink jazz theory for college? Do you agree? Please, Adam. Yeah, so here's the thing. Your teacher might not be very good, and that might be why the course is boring. Or you might be resistant to ideas because you find them difficult or boring or slow. And that thing, you have to kind of understand that music, there are people who know more than you as a musician. And you have to trust your teacher. And there has to be a degree of trust between you, the musician, and your teacher, that they're giving you information that's important and that will click. So if the information is generally not, you're not finding like you can't focus on it, then maybe it's not like that sort of thing isn't necessarily for you, but trust your teacher for being able to give you the information that you might need to know. Is the re-uploaded version of Want to Want Me a version of the mix you're happier with? Yeah, a little bit happier. It's still not where I want it, but by this point, I'm just going to kind of abandon it. The reason, like a lot of the vocals in the first version of that, I actually didn't mind a whole lot about how loud they were, but the thing that I realized was that a lot of the harmony was lost, and I think the harmony was the coolest part of that arrangement. And you really couldn't hear a lot of the harmonic like nuance in terms of like the piano chords and all that stuff. So I wanted to like really bring that out a little bit more. So I hope this is not too personal. What is your main source of income currently? Teaching, gigs, side job. My income is really two things at this point. YouTube, which is the lesser of my incomes, and the bigger of my incomes is my wedding job. Because I help organize a wedding band and I do weddings on the weekends, and that's really the main source of my income. And then I occasionally do Skype lessons, and then I also do gigs out and about in the city. And the gigs out and about in the city and the lessons are probably the smallest amount, just because gigs don't pay that much, and I don't do a whole lot of lessons. So that's kind of the breakdown of the money that I make. Chan is awesome. I love Chan. What do you think of Rickenbacker basses? Rickenbacker basses. I love saying that. Awesome tone. They look kind of weird. But I love the aggressive tone. Sounds good. Adam, do you smoke the green? That's another question I get asked a lot. No, I do not. Is electronic music the future of music? Yeah. In a lot of ways, yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be more and more, people are going to figure out more and more interesting ways of interacting with electronic music and the creation of electronic music, and basically trying to make it more live and improvising with it and figuring out using technology to make music more and more. I think that's definitely going to happen more and more. But yeah. Do you eat food? This is a bag of shitty popcorn. I am eating this food. Yes. Have you ever used a pick? I have. Will this live stream be uploaded to your channel later? Nope. This is the only time that you're going to see me do this. So if you want to start screen capturing, go for it. Why do you play precision? Because I really like the particular bass that I have. It just I know it really well. It's something simple. It does the job. There's never a moment where I'm like, man, this tone is not what I need. At least for the stuff that I do. Now, I'm probably going to be branching out at some point just because I've come to the realization that there are definitely times where I want more than one thing. You know, like I do really like having flat wounds on my P bass, but I can't have flat wounds and round wounds at the same time. So, Patreon Q&A? What exactly do you mean by that? Why can't I hear the connotation of happy and sad between major and minor chords? Am I a sociopath? I don't know. That's a cultural connotation. For sure. Your live streams are actually really easy to access after the fact. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why that is. I have them all unlisted, but they're still listed on Google, which I don't know. Yeah, they're supposed to be Patreon only, but they still get listed on Google, so I don't really know exactly. Fuck you. Well, there we go. Can you do a video on Stravinsky? Yeah, at some point, maybe. Is there any way to make a pick sound jazzy? Check out Steve Swallow. He's one of the most influential electric bassists for straight-ahead jazz, and he plays with a copper pick. He sounds amazing with it. 22 a Million, have you heard of it? That's the new Bon Iver record, right? I've heard of it, and I've heard it's amazing. Haven't checked it out yet, though. Any resources for learning jazz composition on your own? Plenty. Check out Modern Jazz Voicings by Ken Polig. That's a great first beginning, quote unquote. You still have to know a fair amount of theory, but for jazz composition. I loved Time Motion Wind. Do you still do that stuff? Is that just you laying in Ableton? Yeah, that's just my first exploration with Ableton. That was the first thing I did when I got Ableton, is I made that EP. It's a lot of fun. Why don't you smoke the herb? I just don't. It like makes me too. Makes me too self-conscious and paranoid most of the time. So many questions, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna eat this popcorn right now. 421 people are gonna watch me eat popcorn and talk into a microphone like this. So, you thought you were getting a bass channel, but you're actually getting ASMR. It's so moist. Have you ever heard of Bill Muter? He's too popular, but he's an amazing. Oh, geez, I just saw this. He's an amazing jazz tuba and bass player. I have not. No. Major 6 and minor 6 chords both have major 6. How is a minor flat 6 notated? That's exactly how it's notated. It's just not used very often because minor flat 6 is actually an inversion of the major 7th chord built on the flat 6. For example, an A major 7 chord in inversion, an A flat major 7 chord in inversion is the same thing as a C minor flat 6. So it's not really notated that often. Normally it would just be notated as A flat major 7 over C. Pros and cons of music grad school. The only reason why you ever want to go to music grad school is if you want to teach at some point, and I do. Like teach at the university level or teach in general. It helps to have a graduate degree. What's your favorite time and key signature? Favorite time signature? It's probably some form of 5 or 4/4. And key signature depends on the instrument that I'm playing. I'm partial to D flat major. I like D flat major. Thoughts on video game composing schools? I don't know a whole lot of them. I do know that Berklee has recently added a few video game composing degrees, and I think they're great. Yeah, so do you think John Cage's 4 minutes, 33 seconds is music? I'm taking a philosophy and music class, and it's a concept that's come up. Have you ever, like, witnessed 4 minutes and 33 seconds live? And most people probably haven't. Most people say, like, oh, yeah, I've waited around in silence for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. But if you've actually seen it live as performed by a pianist, it's actually kind of interesting. It is, phenomenologically, it's something that you probably have never experienced before and will never experience again unless you see it again. So whether or not it's music, maybe not, but there's something different to it than just nothingness. And I dig it. You kind of have to be in the right mindset, but it's something interesting. It's definitely interesting. Trying to make, the connections between all the people who are, all the little noises around you. You start hearing it differently if you're seeing it in this context. So anyway, did you make DeJazz up? No, I got it from a Jared Dines thing, and his DeJazz I didn't find particularly inspiring. But I called my remix Jazz Gent, and every fucking gent purist on the face of the earth said, this isn't gent. This doesn't gent. Where's the zeros? I'm like, fuck you. It's not jazz either. But I don't see the jazz purists coming out of the woodworks. So, I mean, I came up with that term just to kind of like make people like shut up about me calling it gent. Jacob Mann Big Band is awesome. The fact that Lewis Cole plays in that makes it even more awesome. Jacob Mann's awesome too. Hey Adam, I'm a music major. I was not a musician before starting school. I suck at sight reading. Any tips for someone who can't do two things at once? Well, there's a cat. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. My girlfriend likes throwing the cat in the middle of the live stream. That's just going to be a thing that happens from now on. Oh, great. Cat hair now in my popcorn. Cat ASMR. Where'd the cat go? Oh, he's ran away. Are you more likely to get into Berklee if you play a less common instrument? Yeah. But you have to prove that you can play. I had a conversation with somebody once who they were convinced that the way that you get into any music school is to play straight ahead jazz on an unconventional instrument. So if you play sitar, but you can play straight ahead jazz on sitar, guaranteed that you're going to go and get into music school. If you play straight ahead jazz on shakuhachi, guaranteed you're going to get into music school. I feel like Adam reads half of these comments and just fucking cries inside because we are so depressing. Yep. Do we have free will? Probably not. Acoustic cat or electric cat? I'm a cat purist. I prefer the all acoustic cat. Any way I can EQ or affect my flat wounds to sound like rounds? Not really. I mean, flat wounds are great, but they're less versatile than than round wounds. Flat wounds are amazing at sounding like flat wounds, but probably you can't really make them sound round wound. Round wounds, you can kind of get more of a flat wound sound by rolling off the treble, maybe boosting a little bit of low mids and playing them maybe kind of muted-ish. But flat wounds are their own thing. I never understood auditioning for a music school. You're going there to learn? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, music school is where you go after you've learned some stuff already. It's not the place for a complete beginner. Because there's so much to learn at music school to get to a professional level. 4 years is not enough to learn from scratch. You cannot learn music in 4 years to get to the level at the end of music school. It's just not possible. When you're at that age, I don't think so. Anyway. What do you think about Theoria.com? Have you used it? Yeah, I definitely have. That's something that I recommend my students for additional ear training practice and some theory stuff. So, yeah, definitely Theoria.com is great. Theoria. Thoughts on Ibanez fretted fretless hybrid at NAMM? I got to play it a little bit. I just picked it up off the thing. It's fun. I'm not sure if I'd ever use it, but Yeah, it's fun. How do you make money post music school? Teach. Any tips for effective rehearsals with a band? Thanks, Adam. Make sure that everybody learns the material before you rehearse. Rehearsal is not the time to learn music. It's the time to rehearse the music that you've already learned. Now, there's such thing as like jamming to try and work out parts, and that's fine. That's great. But rehearsal is something that should be kept at the bare minimum, and you should spend as much time playing as you possibly can, and much time playing with people who are prepared as you possibly can. I hate wasting time in rehearsal. I do not like rehearsing and wasting time. It's just a waste of my life. It happens all the time, unfortunately, and that's one of the reasons why I actually like playing musical theater music a lot, because musical theater rehearsals are like that. That's fantastic. So I don't have to spend time rehearsing and bullshitting. Bullshitting is terrible. I hate it. Is it weird to go to music school at age 23? Will I be an outlier? You'll be a little bit of an outlier, but not the end. It's not the end of the world. There are definitely people who do that. When I taught this masterclass thing at this like seminar at NYU, there was a beginning undergraduate student who was 29, and yeah, he was older than me, and I was teaching his class, and that was a little strange. But that was the only thing for me that would have been strange about that. Being older than the teacher, but beyond that, I don't think there's anything wrong about going into music school late. Can't believe you waste lots of time in a rehearsal as a pro. Yeah, well, my version of what wasting time is might be different than some other people's. I have a very strict, very, very strict understanding of what wasting time might be. Yeah. So, and it doesn't happen that often because I remove myself from those situations very quickly. Or I demand very high, if I know that that's going to be the situation, I say, like, you have to pay me a fair amount per rehearsal. That normally either makes them focus, because then they're paying me a lot, so we don't have to waste like 3 or 4 rehearsals on really easy music, or it makes them not want to work with me, and that's fine, because there we go, then I don't have to rehearse. Wasting time like live streaming, you mean? Yeah, good point. The thing with live streaming, though, versus wasting time in a rehearsal, is that I'm actually connecting with people, and I feel like I'm doing something productive in some way. People are engaging with me on the channel, and I'm building something specific. And the more time I do something like this, I mean, within reason, I feel like it's part of a career. It's like this is just steps that I'm doing concretely to enhance my career as a YouTube musician or whatever. If I'm fucking around and there's time being wasted in a rehearsal, that's just like the amount of time it takes for me to get from my home to the rehearsal space, and the amount of energy that it takes to do that, and then that and that. So, that's just, for me, a huge amount of waste versus, spending an hour and a half live streaming. And live streaming is more fun, way more fun. Tips for a good cat tone. Clip its nails and rub its belly for just the right amount of time, and I'll get a nice tone. What's your worst moment with Main Stage 3? I've had it glitch out before live, which sucks, but it hasn't crashed. But it's like glitched, like audio dropouts for like a second or two. That was annoying. But yeah. I live in Long Island. We should do a bass duet and eat popcorn. Live in Long Island? The first time I've ever heard anybody say live in Long Island. I've only ever heard people say live on Long Island. So maybe you don't live there. More with Ben Levin. You two are the best. Ben Levin is fucking great. He's awesome. His band's taken off. Bent Knee, man. They're great. Are you going to pour out some of that 40 for your dead homies? Nope. Because none of my homies are dead, thankfully. Are you sick of shit tier memes? Yes. But I don't spend as much time looking through shitty memes, so I don't know. I hear some people looking down on slap bass, saying it doesn't serve the instrument's purpose. Really? Nah, slap can be great. Thoughts on Sun O? I've checked out some of it. My favorite thing though, somebody did a mashup of Sun O and hey, cat's eating shit off the floor. Stop, cat. Somebody did a mashup of Sun O and John Coltrane's album Interstellar, and it was like, what? This is the most ridiculous. Oh, it was so good. It was like drone noise with screeching saxophone, and I was like, this is so weird, but I love it. Adam, I'm from Brooklyn, so it's weird, but why did you choose Brooklyn over the other boroughs? Well, I'm not actually in Brooklyn right now. I'm in a borough that not many musicians, although some musicians are in. I'm in the Bronx, which is not where most people go to, but there's some reasons why I'm up here. I'll leave that explanation later, but the reason why I originally went to Brooklyn is because there was a lot of music happening there. And now the cat's coming back over. Cat's meowing. He doesn't like being picked up. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, okay. All right, that's all right. Here, let's say hi to the nice people. Okay, just talking to the microphone.
He's camera shy.
Just talking to the microphone. Come on. You can do it. All right, well, whatever. Okay, so there we go. That's the cat. Why doesn't the cat have its own channel? Play something on that cat. All right, the cat's done. Your people are tired of you. Slaughterhouse 5. Slaughterhouse 5 is a fucking great book. I love Kurt Vonnegut. I really like Galapagos. It's like a lesser known Kurt Vonnegut book, but there's something about it that like the concept is so weird. I love it. Yeah, I'll check out 22 a Million. A lot of people have been saying I should really check it out, so I haven't yet, but play something on the dildos. These are lovely dildos. This really looks pretty like aggressive, right? Like, oh, you can do jam it up 3 people at once. That's 3 holes at once. Thoughts on Memethony Fantano? Yeah, Anthony Fantano is very entertaining. I do watch his music reviews. I kind of stopped with the meme reviews because they're fine, but it gets old. It gets old after a while. But the music reviews are nice. He has really good thoughts. I like when I'm starting to like really enjoy when people do things non-ironically. Maybe that's just me getting old and me getting kind of tired of the internet. But when he non-ironically reviews music, it's really awesome. What do you look for in a musician when you need one for your band? Reliability and the ability to play music really well. More importantly, reliability, but the ability to play music really well is pretty damn important. Hey, Adam, who are some non-musician artists that inspire the way that you compose? That's an interesting question. I've always had an affinity for Picasso. I know it's kind of a normie sort of answer, Picasso, but I kind of got that. Oh, cat hair all over me. God. I kind of got that from, there's a play by the actor Steve Martin. Steve Martin wrote a play called Picasso at the Lapanaggio, which imagines if Picasso and young Einstein met at a small bar in France in 1905, right before Picasso painted Mademoiselle d'Avignon, his first Cubist piece, and right before Einstein publishes his theory of relativity. It's a fantastic play, and I played it in high school. I played Picasso, and for some reason, because I played Picasso, that was my big acting debut, and so far the only thing that I've ever acted in, more or less. Yeah, something about Picasso, I really dig him. You recommended Sharp Eye in a past stream. I listened to the album. It's fucking amazing. Yeah, Sharp Eye is fucking great. He is the man. Like he's everywhere. He just released a book called Unlock. If you ever want to learn how to play jazz flute, check out Sharp Eye's book. Have you ever, as a bass player, do you like Royal Blood? Yeah, I've checked out some very small stuff from them. It's good, yeah. Adam Neely, what's your opinion on KT Neely? I don't know who KT Neely is. Nowhere. Why are they so good? Because they just fucking are. Hey guys, oh Jesus Christ. There's so many questions. Nerd Writer ? Yeah, Nerd Writer is kind of a guy I kind of aspire to be, but unfortunately I've kind of made peace with the fact that I can't do it. The idea of creating a video essay is really cool, and that's kind of what I like trying to do with my videos, with my like longer form videos. He's just like a machine though. He just pumps them out week after week. What exactly is Berkeley funk? Again, I'm not going to say specific artists, because I guess I badmouth people here on this stream, but I don't want to badmouth them because how about this? Certain people come out of Berkeley sounding a certain way, and then they change it very soon afterwards, because they realize that nobody wants to listen to Berkeley funk. But I will continue to badmouth bad, not good until the end of time. Hopefully somebody lets them know that some YouTuber badmouths them all the time. Do you know Cam Collins? The sax player? Yeah. No, Cam went to school with me. He was a grad student. Awesome. He's a great guy. Man, aren't you tired? A little tired. Yeah, I mean, it's a long day. Just live streaming now. Kind of hungry. Slowly eating this bag of popcorn. Play Seinfeld. Fuck you. Why don't you like bad, not good? Because they play really milquetoast and boring versions of jazz songs and jazz music, and when other people do it so much better, and then they also insult jazz musicians all the time. And I don't understand the appeal because it's just boring music. Kodai method. I don't know too much about Kodai. Adam, what is the brown note? Really low note, which in theory makes you poop. Thoughts on Thundercat? Great. Fun fact, speaking of musicians shading other musicians, Damien Erskine, the bass player, recently was shading Thundercat. Like, he didn't understand the appeal of Thundercat's music. He's just like, he didn't understand it at all on Facebook. He wasn't like bad mouthing them the same way that I'm bad mouthing bad, not good. But and he was like, "Can you show me something that like I think that like really makes it interesting?" And for me, yeah, 1 second actually. Hold on. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, for me, like Thundercat, there's one moment that for me like is just one of the most intensely like emotional moments like in bass solo history, and just one of my favorite bass solos, and it's very brief, and even compositionally it's not like, I'll say this, one of Thundercat's bass solos is probably one of my favorite moments in music, and that's the bass solo at the end of Kendrick Lamar's verse in Never Catch Me, the Flying Lotus thing. For some reason, when that I love that song to death, but for some reason that exact moment I'm like, this is, bass solos normally like suck the energy out of things, but this like moment is just an explosion of notes, and it feels so good and so right, and it kind of transcends the instrument of being a bass. And he could have done it on a saxophone or another instrument or whatever, and that moment needed an explosion of notes to kind of like make it feel right. And I love that moment on Never Catch Me. It's actually one of my favorite songs. It's just like, there's a few songs which like genuinely like make me feel like get goosebumps every time, and Never Catch Me is one of them. You ever come across poorly written scores you're forced to use? Yeah, all the time. Kind of have to learn how to deal with it. Would going to college for business benefit an aspiring musician's endeavors in the music business? Yeah, probably. I don't really know what they teach in business school. One thing that I do know because my boss went and got her MBA. She runs a small business, and the MBA program that she was in, and apparently this is a thing. There's not a lot of like stuff in the curriculum about running a small business or running like small operations, being an entrepreneur. And honestly, being a musician is kind of being an entrepreneur. You have to do everything and kind of like go to certain opportunities and take opportunities, assess risk and everything, and be kind of a one man or woman operation. And going to business school, from what I understand, me personally, because I don't know anything, but from what she said, is much more about theory and running a larger business or figuring out how to be like being a managerial position, all that sort of thing. Less being about an entrepreneur, at least from what I understand. So that might be wrong, but who knows? Charles Ives was an insurance exec, yo. Yeah, Charles Ives. That's the one of the great fun tidbits is that he didn't make his living as a composer. He probably could have because he was very influential even in his day, but he didn't. Yeah, he mainly supported himself with his insurance business. He was quite wealthy. What's your practice routine like? All over the fucking place. I just practice whatever material I need to for the next gig. Like, I don't have anything set in stone. Yeah, which reminds me, I need to start practicing guitar. By the way, fun fact, everybody. I'm gonna make more announcements, but I'm going to London for a week and a half in the middle of February. So if there's anybody out there, I know it's like probably 7 a.m. It's like super early, but if there's any people in the UK over there, I'm going to be over there for a little bit. So hit me up. Did you went to Berkeley with Eric Andre? I did not go to Berkeley with Eric Andre. He was, I think, before me. Hashtag Nexit. Favorite Beatle? Paul, I guess. Or no, John. Why would I say Paul? Thoughts on private lessons? What makes a good bad instructor? Guitar. A good instructor is somebody who always challenges you and knows exactly what you need to change in your playing. And that can be a difficult thing because so many people often teach by rote. Like, this is the first thing, and then this is the next thing that you have to learn, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah. What was your practice routine like when you were at Berkeley? I was practicing a lot, like well, I won't say a lot. It depends. The first couple years at Berkeley, I was definitely practicing more than the last couple years, because the last couple years I was doing a lot more composing because I was a jazz composition major. So that it was kind of back and forth. I'll say at the bare minimum 2 or 3 hours a day. Yeah. Got a spare room in Glasgow if you need it. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, no, my girlfriend and I really don't have too many plans. We're literally just, we're playing in London, actually. We got like 3 gigs, 2 gigs. I don't know. We're doing some covers and some of her original music. But it's mainly kind of like a vacation-ish thing. Which living bassist is the future? Thundercat. I don't know. He in terms of how he's advanced in advancing music, Thundercat is just the best living bass player in terms of advancing a musical aesthetic. Other bass players might be better bass players for sure, but as a creative aesthetic, Thundercat. Are you pro-Trump? Of course not. How does it feel to have weaker beer than us Canadians? I'm specifically drinking this beer because it's so weak, so I don't get drunk. Isn't it 2 a.m. in New York? It's 1 a.m. It's still early. Are you going to upload more Adam Neely eats things? Nope. I was actually kind of afraid to like include that just because I kind of wanted it to be like this great treasure that somebody might like stumble upon one time. But then I directed a bunch of people to that video. Yeah, it was a wild couple months when I was uploading those because they were enormously popular at Berkeley at the time. I was actually known because I uploaded another video on Facebook. If you really, really want to go deep into it, there is another Adam Neely's video, Adam Neely Eats Things video, but it was only uploaded on Facebook. So if you go way down on the beginning of my Facebook, and it's global, you can see it, even if you're not my friend on Facebook, you can discover it, and it's Adam Neely Eats a Burrito. And for like that entire semester, I was recognized as the guy who ate a burrito at Berkeley. Not for anything that I was playing. It was like, oh my God, you're the guy that ate the burrito. I'm like, fuck. I mean, it's great that people know me, but any tips for going after music study later in life? I'm 24, by the way. Yeah, so I'll say this. Work your fucking ass off. Make it so that you're spending as much time as you can getting the musical skills that you need to in terms of like learning your instrument, learn your instrument really well, know all your scales, know all your chords and arpeggios, and learn it very, very well. And then try and meet other people. I think starting a career later in life is harder. It definitely is. And I don't want to say that it's going to be the same thing and you can start at any point and it's going to be great. It's definitely going to be harder. And it's a hard career to start anyway, but I don't see any particular reason why it's impossible. So, hey, Adam, I'm enrolled at Classical Musical Academy. My true passion is jazz. Am I wasting my time? I wouldn't say that you're wasting your time because you can definitely learn jazz outside of academy, and jazz at the academy might not necessarily be the best jazz to learn because it's very academized and mechanical and whatever. But if there is a program, I would say go to that, find that program rather than spend time that you generally don't find any interest in, or like spend time in a program that you have any interest. So, do you know lettuce? Lettuce is a vegetable that I eat occasionally, especially on sandwiches, and sometimes in salads. The band Lettuce, yes, I do know Lettuce. They're cool. Say 3 nice things about Bad, Bad, Not Good. Tyler, the Creator covers were cool. I do get a kick out of the Pig Mask thing, and yeah, actually, I'm just gonna say two good things about Bad, Bad, Not Good. I'm not going to say anything else. How much did you gig in college? Any tips on getting gigs in college? Gigged a little bit. I gigged a lot more when I was at home for summer break because I had more time. Tips for getting gigs? Craigslist, believe it or not. You have to wade through a lot of stuff on Craigslist, but the power of Craigslist cannot be overstated. It's kind of like the great secret because everybody's like, oh, Craigslist, oh, that's terrible. Like, oh, it's for murderers and prostitutes and everything. And you can for sure get that, but there's so much on there that's actually pretty good. I've gotten my current job as a wedding band music director started through answering a Craigslist ad. So, how do you stay so prolific with uploading content? Like any sort of habit, once you start it, habits are hard to break, and it's also a point of pride. Like I am a fairly proud person in that regard, and if I ever like stopped uploading because I got bored or tired or overworked or whatever, I would feel like much shittier than the amount of time that it would take to actually then go and upload the whole thing. So I've been doing this every week for the past year and a half. So yeah, just make it a habit. Do you like to play with ear players? Yeah, if they're good ear players. Don't play with anybody. They don't need to know shit about music as long as they sound good. Where do you go online to read news on recent jazz? I really don't do that. I just kind of know people. What literal color best exemplifies your ideal timbre? That's an interesting one. Depends on what... I know what you're talking about. No... Yeah, because normally brightness is associated with like bright colors and darkness is associated with dark colors. That's kind of a universal in terms of like human psychology. Cooler colors are a little bit higher on the like electromagnetic spectrum, like blues, and hotter colors are lower on the electromagnetic spectrum, like reds, which is kind of the inverse of what we normally think. Like cooler would normally be lower, like lower pitches, and hotter would be higher pitches, right? I'm kind of rambling because this is all stuff that I think about. Actually, I'm going to add that to my list of things to think about. Ooh, color of timbre. Basically, I'm working on this video right now, which is all about the color of music. And I'm just going to add this to my script because I just talked about this. Basically, this is something that Isaac Newton was thinking about back in the 1600s. When he was doing his original experiments with light, he made this whole thing in his book Optics about how the different colors of light were related to the different notes of the Dorian scale. And if you look and read through Optics, you'll see these charts which compare different colors to different notes. And there's rationale behind it, and it's interesting rationale. But it's kind of arbitrary, but there's like this long history of people thinking about that. No, sorry, I just want to add this to my list of notes. So cooler temperature colors higher on electromagnetic spectrum, hotter, lower inverse of what we think. Cool. So that's normally what I do. I normally get a thought and then I write it in this whole thing. Yeah, so synesthesia is going to definitely be a big part of that because a lot of people, if you don't know what synesthesia is, it's the involuntary association of color to sound. It can also be like color to days of the week, color to letters. I have synesthesia. I have grapheme synesthesia, so different days of the week have different colors for me. Different note names have different colors for me. Sometimes different numbers have different colors. So it's an interesting thing, and so part of this video is going to be a discussion of synesthesia. Would you talk about instruments being written to sound like other instruments' colors, like rapid tone clusters in Black MIDI sounds like percussion? I mean, that's just a thing that happens. Like if you play a bunch of notes together, it starts sounding more percussive versus your ear isn't able to distinguish the different tones. And a big part of what makes something sound percussive is the fact that there isn't a fundamental tone that your ear can latch onto. It's more many competing tones at once. And that's why, like, when you hit a snare drum, there might be a tone, but it's very difficult to pick up on it like a note. Yeah, that's just a technique. I'm not sure if I can like talk more about that, but that's a technique that you can pick up on. Have you ever been in an ensemble with people you hate, and how do you get through it? I currently hate my entire section. They're very annoying, but I also want to keep playing music in an ensemble. That's just a hard thing to deal with. Don't talk to them. Just don't talk to them that much. I try and make sure that I'm in musical situations with people that I like, but sometimes it doesn't always end up being the case, and it's just a thing that you have to learn how to deal with for yourself. Are we missing out on much if we don't have synesthesia? Most people don't have synesthesia, and mine is very, very mild, to the point where it's not something that I ever think about, and I only have to it's something that you almost turn on. There's a bunch of ways of trying to describe what it's like, and it's so vague that it might as well not be. Yeah, it might as well not be a thing. It's kind of almost like, I'm trying to think of like good analogies. Like, it's kind of like how the sense of smell and the sense of taste are kind of related, but you never really think about it. Like when you're eating something, you're never really thinking about how that thing smells, usually, unless it's particularly bad or particularly good. It's kind of like an even more muted way of that for me personally, for my kind of synesthesia. For other people, it might be a lot more, louder, if that makes any sense. Just why when I am? Because I fucking feel like it. I'll try and do these at a little bit more reasonable hour at some point. I know more people would watch them too if I was doing more reasonable hour, but you ever sleep? You're live streaming at 1 a.m. I mean, 1 a.m. is when I got home last night. I had a gig out in Brooklyn. Ended at 10:30. Hung out afterwards. Left at 11:30. Took an hour and a half to get back. I mean, that's just usually what it is. Like, I'm up really late. I wake up fairly late too. I mean, that's the whole thing. But It's 6 a.m. in the UK. Yeah, sorry guys. Musical guilty pleasure. No such thing as a guilty pleasure. I wholeheartedly like certain things. Maybe not wholeheartedly. Maybe things that I'll enjoy from time to time. Kesha. Yeah, Kesha. I like her obnoxious, like, rap voice. It's very entertaining for me. Dee Antwoord, whatever her face, the name of the singer from Dee Antwoord, that singer has kind of an obnoxious sound, but it's like really aggressive. I enjoy that. Thoughts on Jonas Hallberg and the use of conical in Western music? He's really, really awesome at that. I don't know a whole lot about conical, but I really enjoy when people end up doing that. If you ever been to Pittsburgh, if so, what do you think of the jazz scene? I have been to Pittsburgh, but I don't know anything about the jazz scene, honestly, there. I know a couple good jazz musicians from Pittsburgh. Zach Zinger, for instance, he's a pretty amazing sax player. I've worked with him a bunch. He's the music director of that video game gig music vlog thing. He's originally from Pittsburgh. Yeah. D fucking Antwoord. Yep. How are you? I'm great. Can you do Chubby Bunny using popcorn? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to eat popcorn for a second. Just watch the comments come in. Very entertaining. Very entertaining. Can you recommend some other good music channels on YouTube? Andrew Huang is a favorite of mine. Rick Beato. If you want that good shit, if you want that hardcore, really intense music theory shit, Rick Beato's great. I just discovered a really awesome new one. Well, it's not that new, but you should check him out. It's called 12 Tone. He does like definitely a music theory only sort of perspective. But like that Weihart sort of style where you're like drawing in time lapse to describe certain things and the script. And I really enjoy those videos. I've learned a lot actually from them too. So check those out, definitely. It's crappy popcorn. This is not good popcorn, but I eat it anyway because it's like, it's just, I always have, so. How is Rick Beato spelled? I'll spell it. Rick Beato. That's how you spell it. Rick Beato. Stevie's Pizza at Berkeley. Oh God, little Stevie's. Yeah, some drunken nights there. I had, for whatever reason, I always found myself at Supreme's, which I didn't like nearly as much as, well, I don't want to say that I liked Little Stevie's, but I did like Little Stevie's a little bit better than Supreme's. But for whatever reason, I found myself around the corner at Supreme's more. The latency, yes, there's latency. Any gig circles you're currently trying to break into? I wouldn't say that I'm trying to break into. There is a circle that I'm kind of like slowly making my way into. There's this thing called the After Party that happens at Rockwood Music Hall, which is an amazing venue in New York City. That happens like at the last Monday of every night, which is like one of the big jam sessions that like all the really awesome, like youngish 20, 30 something musicians kind of go to, and it's kind of a great big hang. And I've kind of like been meeting a lot more people who do that recently. So I guess that's the scene that I'm trying to break into, quote unquote, but more, yeah. It's just I'm meeting more people. That's a scene where I'm meeting people. I try not to, I never have adopted a mentality of like, I'm going to meet this person, they're going to introduce me to this person, I'm going to use this person to meet that person, because that's the shitty LA thing from that I like got from my stay there, and like from what I've heard from my friends who live out there. It's more just like meeting cool people that I enjoy the music that they make. So, yeah, the After Party is a good one. Any updates for exclusive Neely's t-shirts? I'm not sure if I'm on board with that Neely's idea, but, you know, if you guys keep calling yourselves that, that's fine. It just sounds like the plural of my last name. I'm not sure what we'd call fans of mine, though. Fans of Adam Neely. Adam, will you fuck my bitch? No, thank you. Do you ever think any band or song is ever too prog / too much? Never. No such thing. Your Jason Derulo cover reminded me of Tigran Hamasyan. Yeah, a lot of people have said that. And he's definitely an influence of mine. Honestly, the most I borrowed from was Nowhere, like their approach to syncopation, especially. But Tigran Hamasyan's like heavy shit. Like he definitely does that. And I think just the fact that I mixed the piano kind of hot in the whole thing, like made it feel Tigran Hamasyan esque. Fans of Adam Neely is not catchy. I know, that's fine. The Neelids, Neelads, that's stupid. Nihilists, I like that. Actually, I like the Nihilists. It doesn't matter. Call yourselves whatever the fuck you want. I love that nihilist. What are your thoughts on postmodernist jazz? What would you consider postmodernist jazz? Who would be a postmodernist? Best NPR Tiny Desk concert? I really, really dig Moonhooch. There's so many of them, though. There's so many of them. Are you an SJW cook? Sure. God, that's such an annoying term. Thoughts on Stanley Jordan? He's probably one of my favorite tappy tap people that play with the tapping. Stanley Jordan's incredible. If you haven't ever checked him out, really check out Stanley Jordan. I'm from Brazil, and I've been playing with some Oh, I love this question. I'm from Brazil, and I've been playing with some American musicians, and they couldn't play bossa nova right. What could the reason for that be? That's something that I think about a lot. Bossa nova, as it's taught in American jazz schools, is definitely not bossa nova. Especially the bass players. There's this whole thing with bass playing, especially in classic bossa nova recordings. Bass playing is very simple, which is great, but it's always it's half notes. There's not a lot. There's no syncopation. That's a weird thing that happens a lot of the time. American jazz kind of has taken some Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Caribbean music and kind of like mashed them together in this weird way, so that Brazilian music always ends up being syncopated in the wrong way, especially bass players. Like the bass should not syncopate at all. And that's just something that is taught for whatever reason, because American jazz musicians from the 50s and 60s, when they're trying to incorporate all these styles from South America, did it in this kind of weird way that ended up trickling down to now, so that now American musicians play those styles like really weird and completely wrong. And it's kind of annoying because I really love bossa nova playing, but it's all about emulating the surdo, that bass drum, getting that like root fifth motion going down. Yeah, so I think that's why American musicians... I don't pretend to be an authority on Brazilian music, but that's my thought on the whole thing, because I definitely have tried playing Brazilian music with some Brazilian musicians. But yeah. Sorry, guys. Any favorite intervals to use when composing? Depends. Do you like jazz? Do I like jazz? Adam Neely, do you like jazz? Yes, I like jazz. Who would win in a jam-off, Beethoven or Slash? As much as I want Beethoven to win, Slash would probably win. I'm Brazilian. Americans play 1, 2, 3, 4. Brazilians play 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't quite understand what that means. I'm American, so I can't say that I'm in any way, shape, or form have any sort of authority. But I have listened to like real bossa nova and other styles of Brazilian music, because there's so many that Americans just don't know anything about. Huge fan of Caetano Veloso, by the way. What do you think of Yoko Kanno? I don't know who Yoko Kanno is. Dealing with the plateau, not in terms of learning, but in terms of interest. Your videos keep me interested in bass guitar, by the way. I'm glad to hear that. Honestly, I think that's the most use that I feel like my channel might have is keeping people at least motivated. Because motivation can be a big thing, and learning about new things that might not you might not necessarily be inspired by, the way things are presented to you in a normal way. And so I like to try and give alternative ways of thinking about things. Isn't IDM a stupid genre name? Very stupid. Although it kind of adequately describes the kind of music, though, I think. So that's probably why it's stuck. Did you know Eric Andre at Berkeley? No, I did not. He was before my time. What is even a jazz? It's great. That's what a jazz is. It's just great. What do you think of using YouTube to learn how to play music, specifically piano? Legit method or impossible? It's definitely possible, but you have to be somewhat autodidactic, and you also have to deal with a lot of false starts, if that makes any sense. Like people who might give you information which is technically true, but not necessarily the most important thing for you to learn at a given moment. And it will take a long time, but it's possible because the amount of information out there is there, but you have to spend a lot of time working on it. Do you like noise music? Sure, and if I am in the right mood. In what context can I use a fourth interval besides minor fourths? Minor fourths don't really exist in our traditional system. I'm not really quite sure what you're asking in that question. Saludos desde Mexico. Hola. Ever think about adding a violin, viola, cello to Sungazer? That'd be awesome. In fact, there's this orchestra named Little Cruda, which I'm hopefully going to work with at some point in the future. So maybe more than just violin, viola, cello, maybe a whole orchestra that we're hopefully going to do. Orchestral Sungazer. That's a pie in the sky sort of thing. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but who knows? Maybe it will. If you didn't pursue music, what would your alternative have been? That's a good question. I know intellectually what I would have liked to study, philosophy or history. I'm not sure how you would make that into a career by any stretch of the imagination, but those are my other intellectual pursuits. Good records to get started with jazz guitar. Any Wes Montgomery, Kenny Burrell too. What's your favorite Animals as Leaders song? Probably Waves of Babies, off of the first album, although it wasn't originally released with the first album, but it got released later. Saw you had electrodes stuck to your brain for science. What was that about? That was a study I was doing at Columbia University. They were trying to understand how improvisers think. And I'm going to have a video coming out about that eventually. I just haven't written a script around it because it was kind of hard to figure out exactly the context. Maybe I'll just release the raw footage, who knows. But it was weird. It was a cool fun experience, so hey, I think you are gorgeous. Do you think you're hot? I think I'm especially hot as I eat popcorn into my ASMR, whatever the fuck. Oh, I like this question. Have you ever heard of a fusion band called... Sorry. Have you ever heard of a fusion band called Marbin? I have. Marbin is awesome. If you ever check out we're doing like these blog posts or like videos about how they were making a living as a touring band doing original jazz fusion instrumental music, and they were doing it, and I presume they're still doing it because they decided to corner the market on a market that they felt like was not at all cornered, or like not many people were like performing jazz original fusion music, and that was Middle America, in terms of what we would call flyover states like Mississippi or Nebraska, or all these states in the United States that just would not have original instrumental jazz fusion music. And it turns out people really, really dug it because nobody was playing that sort of thing around them. And so Marbin decided like, oh, well, we're just going to tour in the middle states and just, I guess, make a living, make money doing it a lot of the time. And so they do it so often that they're really good at it. They're really good at this style. So that's I read about that a couple years ago, and that kind of like made me think about some things. Thoughts on Bjork? Cool. I enjoy Bjork's music. What part of the Bronx do you live? North Bronx. Sorry, I have a girlfriend. What do you think about Crisis by Jocko? I think that is really cool. Very atonal. He's playing more shapes versus in terms of thinking, in terms of harmony specifically. But yeah. What does love smell like? It smells like roses. I don't know. That's a stupid question. Why did you ask that question? Why did I read that question? Did you ever write any big band charts? Yes, I do. That's where I got my degrees. Big band chart writing. If you ever want to check out my piece of music called Exigence, it's probably one of the proudest things I've ever done. It's a piece for 17-piece big band and electronics. Also check out my song Angry Music for Jazz Orchestra. That's one of my favorite things. Adam, help. Should I go buy snacks? I am fully in favor of buying snacks. It's taken me like an hour and a half to eat this bag of popcorn. I need your advice. I kind of like this girl. We're friends, and I kind of want to tell her, but we're friends and don't want to mess up our friendship. What should I say? Tell her you play bass, and then if she's still your friend after that, maybe you have a chance. Nobody likes bass players. What's your favorite Russian composer writer? Man, a lot of good ones. Stravinsky. I've been getting really into Scriabin recently just because of the color thing. Schopenhauer in music. Honestly don't know a whole lot about the aesthetics of music. I do know that Theodore Adorno is a fucking dick. But yeah, that's, like I said, that was an interest of mine. I haven't really studied a whole lot post school. Do you like Stockhausen? A little bit. It's kind of too much for me personally, but some like the Helicopter Quartet is just ridiculous. But it's done kind of without the tongue-in-cheek thing, which I don't know. I always kind of like my music to have some sort of tongue-in-cheekness. Favorite Miles Davis era? His second quartet, one with Tony Williams, is really awesome. Tony Williams, Wayne Shorter. All right, we're going. Have you listened to Komara? No, I have not. Have I listened to Amon Tobin? Nope. Is being followed by a large audience on a platform like YouTube stressful? It can be. It's like I have to worry about what I say, which is not great. Has Stu Ham contacted you to arrange a boxing match? I saw him at NAMM, actually, and I was trying to... I was going to do a really trollish thing and like say, hey, Stu, can I get a picture with you? And then post it to YouTube, and then people... That would be like really dickish, though. I think he's a good guy, but I think he's kind of overrated. Do you have a pedal board? I do. Bring it for most of my gigs. It's very small. There's only 4 pedals on it. There's octave pedal, other stuff. Do you like Hiatus Coyote? Yep, I sure do. They have that sort of like Jay Dilla jazz thing going on. Now, but everybody wants to be that Jay Dilla jazz thing now, so I'm kind of tired of it by this point. Your opinion on the glorification of the avant-garde? I don't know. Favorite non-music oriented YouTube content? I mean, Casey Neistat obviously is a big inspiration. Nerdwriter's really cool. PBS Idea channel. I actually got most of my inspiration for my early channel from PBS Idea channel. Vsauce, of course. Some others. Yeah, any kind of like that educational sort of content I really enjoy. Yeah. Are you familiar with music from New Zealand besides Flight of the Conchords? No. Which trolley problem meme is the best trolley problem meme? I don't know. I didn't realize that was a meme by this point. I thought it was just a thing. When will there be more Adam Neely Eats Things content? I mean, I'm eating something right now. Not very well, but... Do people who live near you hate you for playing bass? Yeah, a little bit. I don't have my amplifier set up. I mainly just run it through my studio speakers and headphones. So, no, I don't really play bass in this apartment. Marvin promotes really well on Facebook. Yeah, they really know what they're doing. And they're able to sustain a career just by playing, which is great. You listen to Lewis Cole? I think you'll like it. Dude, I love Lewis Cole. I love Nowhere. I love everything he does. It's fantastic. Would you ever consider something like a P.O. box for people to mail you stuff and use something like Mail Time like Casey Neistat? I'd say just email me if you want to send me something. Sure. Yeah, I'm not nearly as popular as Casey Neistat, and, you know, I wouldn't be doing things. Although, let me just say this. No, I won't say that. I'll say it later. Dude, that popcorn is bottomless. Still popcorn. Still popcorn. Do you listen to the work of David Maxim Mitchell? If not, I'd highly recommend it. Yeah, I have. It's really cool. Really cool stuff. Electronic gent, whatever. One of my friends, Carl Catrone, played a sax solo on one of his first albums, and I thought that was kind of fun. Favorite song from the Smiths? I really don't know too much about the Smiths. Sorry, guys. Just do some bad unboxings, lol. Yeah. I mean, that's the Casey Neistat thing. Just, like, not very good unboxing. Just rip it up. Hey, this is something cool. Okay. Okay. Ways to break out of playing scales. Whenever I try to solo improvise, I just end up playing my go-to positions. Any tips? Try learning other people's solos that you enjoy, note for note. Learn as many of those as you can. That's a surefire way to break out of playing scales. Favorite porn genre? There's so many. How am I supposed to pick? Can food equals art? Well, this popcorn is certainly artistic. The craft that went into making Wise popcorn butter artificially flavored ear pop. It's gluten-free. I love how they say that. Gluten-free. Thank God it's gluten-free. Mm-hmm. What do you think of Baby Metal? Very amusing. I can't listen to it for any length of time, but it's amusing. Oh, there's the cat. Cool. Favorite Justin Bieber song? Huge fan of Where Are You Now? Unironically love that song a lot. It's a lot of fun, that song. Yeah. OC2 versus OC3. OC2 I do enjoy more. But honestly, they both do kind of the same thing. At one point I actually had both pedals in my possession, and I kind of had to like choose between the two. And yeah, honestly, the OC2 won that shootout when I was playing. It's kind of hard to describe exactly why, because it is shittier. It doesn't track as well. It's kind of more temperamental, but there's something more warm about it in the way the notes bloom that I dig more. Is it bad or good to make a girl scream when having you know what? What exactly are you talking about? I don't know what. Have you noticed the funky bass lines in Mario Bros? I certainly have. Can we talk more about the cat? I mean, if you want to. If you want to talk about that cat. Let's get the camera angle. Okay, there's the cat. It's chilling back there. All the shit on top of your keyboard right now. Go. All right, well... Here's another bag of popcorn that I had last night. We have the Dildo 1. We have Dildo 2 with the GoPro. We have this guy, which is a MIDI controller thing. You have the names of all of my patches for whenever I play keyboards. I use it as a patch controller. So like, this is Brass Synth. This is the Uptown Funk patch if I'm playing Uptown Funk, so I need to get those does. Yeah, it's just I press the button. So normally people are like, NPC or whatever. This is just a bunch of buttons that I can press and be like, I want that patch. I want that patch. It's just an easy way of doing it. What do you think of John Entwistle? He's really awesome. Would you rather have a child made of pee or a pee made of child? That's great. It's fantastic. Tips for tuning your cat. Make sure it's hypoallergenic. How many theory/sight readings should I know for audition for music school? Theory, you don't need to know really anything to audition. Theory is something that you learn in music school. Sight reading definitely helps with the audition, but don't worry about any theory whatsoever. Is electronic music changing the way bass is done in non-electronic music? I don't think so. No. Do you use the OP1? No, I don't. I actually don't have any standalone synthesizers. I only have this guy. Oh, shit. 1 second, guys. Battery died on the camera. I'll be right back. I'm changing the battery. Don't worry. I'm changing it. I'm back. I swear. Or am I back? Am I back? I honestly can't tell right now. Am I back? Am I back? Am I back? There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. Cool. Sorry. I just lost all my viewers. I am back. I swear to God, I am back. Fuck you. What did you do to the cat? Oh, is the cat not in the picture now? Let's zoom in on that cat. Zoom in on where's the cat? The cat. There we go. Okay. This is too much fun, but I should probably live stream right now. Adam, go away. I mean, you don't have to watch me. This is my fucking chat. I can do whatever I want. Is Bud Light the best beer? It's honestly the worst. I've been getting into really bad beers, but I kind of like the fact that there's just so much of it, and I just keep drinking it. And that's why I like session beers. If I was doing this like non-ironically, it's kind of a joke by this point. Like, Adam Neely drinks Bud Light. If I was doing this non-ironically, I would do. There's some great session ales that I normally like. The All Day IPA. I forget who makes it, but that's like kind of my go-to thing. I like low alcohol, tasty, hoppy beers. That's like the awesome stuff. Give us an apartment tour. All right. Well, here's my apartment. It's kind of crappy and not good looking so far, but there's the hallway. There's my bookshelf. There's a guitar. I know, I have a guitar. There's a bookshelf, and there's that scary, weird looking thing. I found that in the garbage. Somebody threw this out. It looks like it's I don't know, it's terrifying, but at the same time, I kind of like it because it's like this guardian that watches over. A bunch of shit all over the floor because terrible. And then, of course, the main attraction, The reason why we're all here. That fucking cat. All right. So that's my, well, that's actually the living room. The bedroom's over there. My girlfriend's over there right now. Because her office is kind of in the bedroom. There we go. That was exciting. It looks like it's unfinished. Yeah, the painting itself is definitely unfinished, which is kind of cool, but I love how it looks unfinished. How much theory sight reading did you know before at Berkeley? A fair amount, just because I had a lot of private music lessons before Berkeley. I'd been studying music in general in various forms since I was about 8 years old. I started piano lessons then. Everybody wants to know about Joe Dart. Yeah, Joe Dart's a fucking amazing bass player. I have nothing but nice things to say about him. But I think that's the main question I get asked. Joe Dart? Wolfpack? That's not even a question. What do you like about them? I like the fact that they're an incredibly amazing live band that plays kind of this throwback style, but at the same time with a very modern sort of feeling and twist to it. And they are also very meme-tastic. I appreciate everything about them. Have you heard of Rodrigo y Gabriela? I have. I don't know much about them, but is that your cat or your girlfriend's cat? Technically my girlfriend's cat, but our cat, because why not? Is that cat your girlfriend? No. Thoughts on deathcore? I don't really know anything about deathcore. Favorite New York venue to see shows? Rockwood Music Hall, guys. If you're ever in New York, swing on by Rockwood. No cover. Always, pretty much always, an amazing band playing. They have like live music from 6 until 1 every night, every day of the week. Different band every hour, and all of the bands are really good. Yeah, it is kind of like the place to play. You want to play Rockwood if you're touring through New York. You want to be able to play Rockwood because there's a built-in crowd too, which is not normally the case. And you don't get paid because there's no door, but they do pass the bucket, and pretty much always people pay pretty decent money through pass the bucket. So it's just a great vibe. But that's normally the case. That's the sad thing, though, is that I'm saying this is an amazing music venue, but you don't get paid when you play there. But the amount of just energy and people who want to listen and buy your shit there cannot be overestimated. So, local band I know is playing Rockwood, but it's charging tickets. Yeah, occasionally Stage 2, they charge tickets, and also Stage 3, they'll always charge tickets. Stage 1 is always free. That's the thing, is that there are many different kinds of stages at this one place. It's like this kind of like all-inclusive emporium of stuff. So what do you think about Scott's bass lessons? Scott is really cool. And actually, I need to make, that's a great note, because we were supposed to meet up and hang out for like a beer or something while he's in New York. Because he's in New York. I need to message him right now. I'm going to do that right now, because otherwise I'll forget. Hey, everybody, this is super interesting. Hey, Scott. Let me know when you have some time free in your schedule while you're here so we can hang. I'm fairly flexible this coming week. I'm not that flexible, but I will make time for Scott Divine. What kind of tech do you use while recording music? I use my Steinberg UR44. That is my go-to audio interface, because audio interfaces, there's so many good ones out there. And I do really like Steinberg because the preamps on this audio interface are really, really good. I used to have the Motu 828, and it was all right, but the preamps on it kind of sucked. And I was looking for an audio interface that had good preamps for recording that sounded really awesome and clear and pristine. And man, these are good preamps. You're not going to need an external preamp for recording stuff. Control V in the comments right now. This is my Control V, everybody. If you want to see what my Control V is, this is my Control V. So you can tell that I was working on stuff. What's about Sungazer? Talk about your band, please. I will talk about my band because this is my live stream and I get to talk about whatever the fuck I want. Sungazer is my band with drummer Sean Crowder, who's a friend of mine, and he was my roommate for a long time, and then I moved out and now live with my girlfriend. And it was kind of the way it started was Sean just improvised a bunch of drum solos. All the original Sungazer recordings, by the way, were just him improvising drum solos. That's all they were. Literally just him in a room playing to a click. And then what I did was I was like, I took his drum solos and I fucked them up. I fucked them up by like changing them around a lot. And then we like figured out a bunch of stuff, but it was always this kind of like side project that we're just going to like release stuff occasionally. And then Sungazer kind of became popular because of my YouTube channel, because I always used this side stuff that we used to do as my background music. But it came to the point where, we couldn't do anything more with it because Sean was always on tour. Like, he's touring all the time with this world music musician by the name of Amel Malthuthi. And, we've been slowly hacking away at different things for that. But it is my personal project. And, we will be doing more stuff this year for sure. That's kind of like on the top of my to-do list. But that is Sungazer. Adam, how do I get you off my screen? Click the little X button. For the uninitiated, what is that? Oh, that's my Sungazer stuff. Yeah. So Sungazer is this weird, fun thing. When are you going to release the background music you had for the NAMM video? Eventually. That's going to be like a project for maybe April or whatever. I'm going to have an EP full of all my background music. It's not a whole lot. I've only written 2 things so far. But that's going to be something that I'm also going to do, like making of background music at some point. For some of these, like, I'll release a gig vlog one week and then like a day later I'll say like, oh, this is how I made the background music. So that's on the future. And just a way that keeps me composing and keeps me making music, in a fairly organic way. And so, I have a particular set of things that I like to do, and maybe people will like to do that. How much is your rent? I'm not going to share that, but I will say that it is less when I live up in the Bronx than if I lived in Brooklyn, for sure. It is significantly less. It's still more than most of the country pays, but it's reasonable. I don't feel like I'm like gonna starve to death. I, after all, have my 50-cent popcorn. Recommendations on cheap, decent monitors. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about monitors. I do know I have the Yamaha HS5s. I love them. They're great. They tell no lies in mixes. So, Adam, what is your social security number and credit card number? Yes, I will tell you that. Can you release a full 18-minute version of the Adam Neely's bass lessons music? It'll literally just be me looping that over and over and over again. The thing is that I've lost the file. I lost the session file for that. It does not exist anymore. So I would have to recreate it from scratch if I ever had to re-record it. It's possible. It might make it onto that EP things, but I like it kind of just as a little, like, stupid little jingle, like Bill Wirtz. Bill Wirtz makes all those jingles and shit. I kind of prefer when music is just like just that, and that's it. That's all you get. Obviously, it's not like the most best idea for me to just only do that, because then I can't like make more of it. But it's still fun. Like, I want people to want more and keep them wanting more. Just rip it off your old videos. No, I mean, I have the music. I don't have the session file. Like, I don't have the Ableton Live file, so I couldn't expand it if I wanted, if you know what I mean. I can't, it's fine. And in fact, there is about like a second more of that music, which I cut off from the video. If you ever wanted to if you ever wanted to hear that extra second, I might include it at one point. There is like an additional secret hidden bonus second, but not anything else. What do you think of Yannick Gwizdala's vlog? Yannick Gwizdala, I'm kind of almost scared because he gives great advice, and you know, him and Bob Reynolds are like, you know, I want to say my colleagues and contemporaries, but they're definitely better. They're definitely more accomplished jazz musicians than I am. And so when I'm seeing them embrace this new vlog format and everything so wholeheartedly and doing it so well, I'm like, oh God, like, what do I have to give to the world? Like, I'm just a slightly shittier bass player, and I'm not nearly as good as them at like music and stuff. So I'm a little scared of it, to be 100% honest, but I'm also like always in awe because they're such great musicians and they do it so well. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out Yannick Wisdala's vlog, definitely do that, because he's like a guy that I'm like inspired by. Are you a furry? Nope. Adam, what do you think about Slipknot? Do you think it's just pointless noise, or is there a creative aspect to your music? Captain Spicy Waiter. I think that there's definitely a point to their music. They're new metal, and why wouldn't there be a point to new metal? New metal is great. Ask us a question. Sure. Sorry, guys. Am I out of sync with the... there's a latency between me seeing your comments and me talking or whatever, but at the same time, my voice in the video should still be in sync. Okay, so my question for everybody here is, where is everybody from? So you see, like, I'm not able to see the comments. So where is everybody from? France, Michigan. All right, video, audio out of sync. Fuck. Space, Thailand. Thailand? No. Oh, Thailand, yeah. Shit. North Carolina, DC. Oh, you're from DC. I'm from DC originally. Holy crap, look at all this. Oh, that's so cool. I love when people share this. This is really cool. That's so fucking cool. I know YouTube might like provide me this, but it's actually cool when people like actually respond. I don't know, I'm just getting a kick out of it. Oh my god, that's so fun. Duluth, Denver, Philippines, Hoboken, Wisconsin, Long Island. Brocodio, Purchase, Liars. Your apartment, I'm gay. Tijuana, Quebec, Kazakhstan, Oregon. That's awesome. I'm gay. British Columbia. Yeah, so other questions, guys. What instrument do you consider your main instrument? This is just stuff that actually would be very useful for me, and like programming stuff. But I'm very curious because most of my early stuff was bass related, but now a lot more people who play other instruments have been watching my channel. Yeah, so what instruments do you play? Fuck. That's awesome. Yeah. A lot of bass players. That's good. To be expected. A lot of guitar players. For shame. Violin, sax. Clarinet. Damn. There's a euphonium player. That's really strange. That's... Jeez. It goes by. I can't even, like, name all the things. A lot of bass players. Cool. Bazooki. Now people are just going to start saying like weird things. Baritone ukulele. I own a baritone. Well, my girlfriend actually is her baritone ukulele. She does a lot of that stuff. That's great. 4-string barbarians. Bass is a much more refined instrument than your wanky, nonsensical instrument of guitar. I'm just kidding. Remember, guys, I do play guitar a lot, and I am mainly a bass player, but I do play a lot of guitar. So, oud. Oh, you got an oud player. That's great. Theremin. That's cool. Do you think there's a correlation between nerd culture and the rise of the alt-right? I think the terrible thing about the internet is that there is people interact in a way which they wouldn't interact with other people in real life, and it creates this very weird sort of thing where weird mob mentality, and the way that humans react to one another on the internet is very different. So the rise of the alt-right I do see coming from a particular way of interacting online that is not very nice. I dislike it. I know my political commentary is obviously not very nuanced right now, but that particular sort of like tribalism, that particular kind of mentality is just accentuated by technology. It's amplified by technology in a way that I very much dislike, and I don't want to have any fucking part of. You are a cook. Yep. Sure. Name calling is very, very useful. Don't even act drunk. We saw that what you're drinking. Am I acting drunk? No, I'm not. I can't tell if people are serious. That's the other thing, is irony kind of has, there's no use of irony anymore. Have you ever heard of Michael Pipakina? Oh yeah, he's I have checked him out, I think. Yeah, he's pretty incredible. I think I saw something with him in a accordion player that was pretty insane. Would you amputate your toe to put Bernie Sanders in the White House? Probably, yeah. That is probably something I would do if that was a guarantee of having Bernie Sanders in the White House. Check. Sweet. Do you watch Black Mirror? I do, but man, it like by this point it's starting to like the more recent season. Obviously, it was really good, but it didn't cut nearly as hard as the first couple seasons, which were on British TV. But yeah, it's scary. I hate your politics. I haven't said shit about politics. Notice that. My politics in terms of what I say, all I've said is I would put Bernie in the White House. So you haven't actually like engaged with me, or I haven't engaged with you in any regard in terms of any policy issues. It's that's why I was talking about tribalism. You think that I'm part of a certain particular tribe, and therefore you hate my politics because you think that I'm part of that tribe. No issues, no concepts, nothing like that. It's a strict division based upon you go here, another person goes here. So yeah, that's the United States that we're living in. Fucking fantastic. Where could I see one of your gigs? New York City. Follow me on my Facebook because I gig spam a fair amount on Facebook, and I post where I'm playing there. Adam, is it possible to reach skill levels such as Neil Peart, Matt Garska, Thomas Pridgeon without having to attend Berklee or music school? Can self-taught reach those levels? Sure, but music school definitely is a way of supercharging that, and the environment in which you find yourself in music school is definitely the sort of environment in which encourages people to practice and get to some absurd levels. So, yeah, it's possible, I think, but it certainly helps to go to music school. Favorite neighborhood to hang out in New York City? Lower East Side. Just because there's a lot of music still left there. It's also close to Chinatown, where you can get awesome dumplings at Vanessa's Dumplings. I just have good memories, weird memories in Lower East Side, weird drunken memories. Yeah. So it's definitely also the only place in Manhattan that's left with any sort of grit. That and maybe like Spanish Harlem or like some certain parts of Inwood. There's definitely a certain aggressive vivality to the Lower East Side that doesn't exist anywhere else on Manhattan. So, yeah. Thoughts on Undertale? I actually don't I've never played Undertale, but or is it a video game? Yeah. So I don't know. Sorry. China's taking our jobs. I clearly have a drinking problem. So I just did that. Thoughts on Berklee's American Roots music program? I know that it has grown pretty significantly since I was there. It was in its beginning stages when I was there. A good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine named Mark Kiliansky was one of the first people to go through that program. He's a guitar player. Actually, well, let me say this. He didn't go through the program, but he knew a lot of people in the program. He was actually a jazz composition major, but as soon as he got his jazz composition degree, he stopped playing jazz altogether and did full bluegrass music. I love that stuff. It's really good. It's really fun. Yeah. Do you ever dream about selling albums and touring? Not really. I do want to set up tours. I've done mini tours, but touring is exhausting, man. This past weekend, I was gone for 3 days. Well, I guess 2.5 days. Upstate in Lake Placid. It just took us so much time. It was wedding gig at Lake Placid, New York. It was about a 5.5 hour drive, and it was like an early wedding, so we had to leave the day before, and it was early wedding, but 5.5 hours, like we leave, and after we're all packed up, it's 11 o'clock. We're not going to drive back to New York City because that would just be ridiculous, so we spent an extra day. So it was like this whole thing just for one fucking gig, and it's so exhausting. It ruins your whole thing. So touring, it would have to be the right circumstance. I guess by this point in my life, I'm a little bougie just because there's only so much that I want to put up with unless it's like a labor of love, and even then, like I can only see myself touring for like a week at a time. So have you heard Maggie Rogers music? She attended Berklee for a bit before going to NYU and going viral in a masterclass video with Pharrell. I have not. I'm gonna actually add that to my list of things to check out because I probably should. Is there any reason why she went viral in that? I mean, like, I'm assuming really good music, but I'm just curious what the angle with it was. Do you draw? I don't. Do you have siblings? I do. I have a younger sister. She is going to graduate school for social work right now in Washington State. Are you from tribes other than neo-Nazi stuff? God. Thanks for the live chat. Going to bed. We'll catch the next one. All right. Have you ever played Misa Tribase? Have not. Really want to. How do you feel about the folk and rock genre, i.e. the DIY genres? How do you feel about the sentiment that the songs and passionate delivery are more important than technical skill? I think the craft is very important, and I think the idea that something's passion and delivery is more important than the amount of time and dedication to the craft of something, I think that's kind of this. It leads people to be lazy sometimes. So yes, you can have an amazing 3-chord song that doesn't require any particular advanced technical know-how on your instrument, but you damn well better make sure that those 3 chords, the way that you play them, is just right for exactly the sort of delivery that you want. And that takes a lot of time and dedication in order to do that. And people, I feel like, cut corners a lot of the time, thinking like, oh, I just need 3 chords, that's all I need, rather than like, all right, how do I like really make sure that these 3 chords feel right? I'm going to play these 3 chords this way. Do I like these 3 chords this way? No, what if I lay back a little bit on this chord? All right, how do I match this strum with this particular, like all these things to think about and like really hone. That's the thing that I kind of really dislike, is when people get lazy with the attention to detail. The attention to detail is what makes something sound so very, very engaging. And when you lose that attention to detail, I get bored. I can really, really appreciate somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about exactly what they're going to do. Yeah, that's my answer. That's my fucking answer. All right. Adam Neely drinks a 40. Tone Rose in jazz, question mark. It's interesting. So I'm working on this pop song reharmonization lesson that I'm going to release this Monday. And I did an Ed Sheeran song as a 12-tone row as part of that lesson. It's fun, and it can be really interesting. Thoughts on Led Zeppelin being considered the best rock band ever? Led Zeppelin is pretty fucking cool. I go through my stages on how much I like Led Zeppelin because, you know, obviously with any great, there's going to be flaws, and there are definitely flaws, things I don't like about Led Zeppelin. Plagiarized a lot of stuff, and in general, like some stuff doesn't really hit that hard, but you know, they're just so influential, and I really enjoy, honestly, some of that shit. So it's I don't know. Did you like La La Land? I haven't seen it yet. I cannot pass judgment yet, but I have heard, again, like Whiplash, different things. I really need to see those two movies because people ask me about that all the time, and I'm like, I'm going to give like answers on those things, and fuck, I'm not going to be able to like really give an interesting answer. Please answer Tyler's question so he shut the fuck up. Thoughts on Jocko's Forgotten Love? Sorry, man. Again, so many questions. I don't know Jocko's Forgotten Love. There we go. I feel like you asked that question. I didn't answer it like 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I don't know it. I'm sorry. Joe Rogan had Alex Jones on his podcast tonight. Are you gonna watch it? It's amazing. Fuck no, I don't want that. Ever heard of Moonchild? I have heard of Moonchild. Heard a couple of their stuff. I only really recognize Moonchild from like one of Jacob Mann's 1-minute jazz lessons because he included it on his lesson on laying back. I thought that was funny. So when I heard that song outside of the context of that video, I was like, oh, that's the Jacob Mann 1-minute jazz lessons video. Thoughts on Tonewood? Reckon it makes a difference in tone? I doubt it. I do know that maple for the neck of an instrument feels very different than rosewood or ebony or anything like that. And maybe it's brighter, but it definitely feels different. So I can't really like I don't want to weigh down the tone, like go down the Tonewood like route, but I very much dislike playing any instrument, any bass, I should say, that does not have a maple neck. God, I'm tired. So maybe I should go to bed. No. Is it possible to be a pro musician if I melt without a ton of sleep? Is there a way to practice this, or should I just wait until I'm no longer a teenager? Yeah, so this whole sleep thing is, and sleep is an issue. Dave Liebman, when I was studying with him at Manhattan School of Music in my grad program, was like, you know, guys don't need sleep. He played with Miles Davis for 10 years. He had polio. This guy is a fucking OG if there ever was one. He had polio. He walks with a cane. He played with Miles Davis. Talks with a thick Brooklyn accent. He's just the coolest motherfucker ever. But he was railing on us for having to sleep as long as we did. He was like, "You're young. You only need 4 hours of sleep. I'm old. I get by on 5.5." I'm like, wow, what the fuck? Yeah, time is always an issue. Obviously, when you're a teenager and when you're younger, you do need more sleep, I think. I do get by most nights with 6 hours of sleep, although I kind of prefer having 7. I'm fine with 4 hours of sleep, but it starts really hitting me if I do too many days like that. But sometimes the job necessitates it, man, you know? Adam, if you're really interested, I can lend you my Mesa Tri-Bass to toy with for a while. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Oh, I could do a video with that. That'd be really cool. If you are at all interested in contacting me for anything like that, please hit me up at adamneelybass@gmail.com, because that would be that'd be a really fun sort of thing. Yeah, man. What is your opinion on non-jazz ensembles playing jazz, like orchestra, mariachi? It sounds weak. It really does. It's fun, though. Part of jazz is having a strong understanding of the rhythmic concept, and unless you work on it for a while, you won't have that. You won't have a strong understanding of the rhythmic concept, so... How do you go about composing for instruments that you don't play? Well, I strongly recommend at least trying to play, or at least having an understanding of how other instruments work. One thing that you can do is watch instructional videos for other instruments, like instructional videos for cello, for example, or something like that, or talk to a cellist. That definitely helps. I learned a lot. I know the thing is like on my channel, I talk about all the stuff that I've learned outside of school. I learned a lot of stuff in school about orchestration and arranging. I know a lot of stuff. If I can speak about authority on anything, it's that stuff. I just generally don't because it's not what I really do professionally. But the way that we learned in school for arranging was we talked with different like student cellists or student improvisers or whatever. We talked with each other. We read all these books describing all the different ranges of all the different instruments. So like I can tell you like, lowest note the flute can possibly play is a C unless they have a B extension. Lowest note that a saxophone can play would be a B flat, unless it is a baritone saxophone, where then you'll have an A extension. So there's all sorts of other stuff like that. But yeah, it's just talking with other people. Thoughts on ska and bass and ska music? I think it's so much fun to bounce around the chord while playing on bass and ska. Yeah, ska is fun. I haven't done a whole lot of ska. I mean, I guess there's this place called the Electric Maid in Tacoma Park, Maryland, where I used to go to. It still exists, the Electric Maid, but it was an all-ages venue run by a bunch of communists in Maryland. It was fun. It was great. It was a ruckus old time. It was closing every other week because of financial programs, because, or financial problems because they were communists and couldn't, like, do anything. But I saw a bunch of ska shows there when I was younger, and I have not really played a lot of the genre, but I definitely skinked while I was about 16, 17 years old. Have you listened to Meme Lord Jacob Mann's Big Band album, Greatest Hits Volume 1? Thoughts? Yes. A lot of people have asked me that, and I think it's a fantastic album. It's a great big band album. It feels very fresh and modern and new. Same thing with like people like Darcy James Argue. I mean, honestly, Darcy James Argue, if you're at all interested in big band music, he's the guy to follow. Him and Maria Schneider, they're like the two people, and John Hollenbeck. Actually, there's a lot of big band music that you should follow. Miho Hazama, you should definitely check out. She went to music school with me and has had a very illustrious career. But Jacob Mann's really awesome. What are you implying about communism? Well, because they were a bunch of communists, so they didn't know how to run a business. Like, it's kind of obvious. They just fucking sucked at with money. Like I said, I'm liberal, but yeah, I'm very skeptical about basically everything liberal. Not that communism's liberal, but whatever. Leftist, I should say. I'm leftist. How about that? Adam, is it worth to spend money to learn upright bass? I've noticed you played upright in a few of your gig vlogs. Yeah, upright bass is great. My upright bass, the one in the background, well, I'm not sure if it's in the background shot, is not very good. It's probably the worst upright bass I've ever played. It needs help. It really does. But I've taken it to people to get fixed, and they would charge me like $600 or $700 because the fingerboard's warped and all sorts of shit's wrong with it. And I can't justify that expense because it's a really cheap instrument. So anyway, I think it's worth it to learn upright bass for sure. It does require a lot of effort to keep up your chops, and that's something that just I haven't done for a while. Upright bass versus upright cat. You should sell it and rip the frets off your bass. I mean, upright bass is necessary for a lot of things because people like the look of an upright bass. The look of an upright bass is very important. Think about that. It's very important to have a guy playing an upright bass more than the sound of it. Please, dab, you will make my day. Ready for some fucking cringe? This is some cringe, guys. All right, that's some fucking cringe for you. That's a fucking dab. It's the second time I've dabbed in my entire life. The first time was also on a live stream. No, Adam, why? I know, it's terrible. Is Clifford Brown's Cherokee the fastest jazz song? Cherokee can be called really absurdly fast, upwards of 400 beats per minute. There's a song with Abby Lincoln and Max Roach called Freedom Song, which hits upwards of like, I think it's like 420 beats per minute. Something so goddamn absurd. And there's this whole thing about like how jazz used to be like really, really fast, and now it's not so much anymore. Answer Ethan's question, please. What's Ethan's question? Do you think a rapper could rap in complex odd polymeter? And if so, please ask Ben Levin to try. He definitely could. There's a song by Jason Lindner's band Now Versus Now called Big Pump. Let me see if I can't find or I think it's called Big Pump. Jason Lindner, Now Versus Now. Yeah, Big Pump. I'm not not sure if they have the rapper, but they do it sometimes with a rapper who does a verse and it's like an 11 or something like that. It's something ridiculous. So yeah, Now Versus Now, Big Pump. I know rapping in odd time signatures definitely can happen. It's just not done very often because it's not really part of the style, and it can sound very awkward unless you're super comfortable with the odd time signature. And, you know, most rappers learn and develop their style and develop their whole mode of delivery around 4/4, and they get very used to like doing all the sorts of interesting rhythmic tricks in 4/4, and then, you know, doing odd time signatures is just not part of the tradition. Maybe it will be someday, but it doesn't. It's not a big part right now. How much money do you make from live gigs, teaching, and YouTube? Something that I will probably never tell you exactly. It's not much, but it is to make a living. I've split it down this way. Most money I make is from my wedding band. It's my main gig. If all the other things fell aside, I'd still be okay with just the money I'd make from that. It wouldn't be great. YouTube is then a great supplementary sort of thing because I have a Patreon. If it was strictly advertising dollars, it wouldn't be that much because I don't really make that much from advertising. And then from teaching, I've kind of like stopped doing a lot of teaching just because it's just difficult I used to do a lot more teaching by traveling to people's houses, but now I don't like doing that anymore. But sometimes I'll do Skype lessons. You can hit me up then. Sometimes I try and keep that kind of sparse. But can I rap or sing? Nope. Just no. Neither. What skills do you think would be the most important to instill in the musicians of the future? I'm a music education major, and it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this. Discipline, the ability to focus on one thing for a long period of time. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like something that might have been the case for a while, but might not be so much anymore. But all right, so I think I'm gonna end this stream right now. It is late. My girlfriend wants me to go to bed, which is fine. I don't blame her. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this live stream. Probably won't be doing this exact setup with the camera because it's kind of annoying, but thank you everybody for doing this. Thank you, Captain Spicy Wiener, for gracing me with your presence. You are my totem for these guys. You're my rock. I love saying your name so much. Yeah, so until next time. Hold on, let me do some ASMR drinking Bud Light. Oh, drinking Bud Light from the 40 here. Let me go. It's very cringy. Bass.